I, Nekias, would like to talk about Victor Wembanyama. And Victor Wembanyama's defense is it something I've been keeping an eye on as this season has gone on. How impactful is it? We know that numerically, and we can see it in the film. How do other teams try and poke at that in different ways? And what's the impact of it? So I wanted to bring it here today because unfortunately, we are talking into the buildup of Spurs Thunder. But I think the biggest thing when you look at what Victor Wembanyama does defensively is just his ability to rotate. And this is probably one of the funnier clips was just the fact that when he's in the low corner, Joe Mazzulla was literally like, hey, can you get out of the corner so we can get him out of the corner and we can just figure something else out? But the Spurs base defense is we want to keep Victor Wembanyama as low to the paint as possible. We want to make sure that he can stay and we rotate around that, and then he can cause havoc. And so he can stay around the paint, he can keep pressure on you and put you in a tough spot. So when they're at humming, when they're at their best, his man's in the corner. He's able to patrol the paint, and he is able to dictate, point out, hey, guards, rotate around what I'm doing. The thing you're seeing with bigs, they're able to kind of sneak and snake and roll around him and kind of poke at that. So how do teams kind of figure out how do we move him? How do we attack him? How do we put him in different positions? But I think the biggest thing is just Victor Wembanyama has, and the Spurs as a whole have an idea of what they want to do when they rotate around him. Whether it's in man or zone, they know exactly what they want to do. So if we get to something like just the pure rotations of, hey, get out, I'm going to take this matchup, I'm going to rotate, I'm going to take this next drive, and they fly around that. That's where it gets really tough to deal with because he's able to kind of patrol the paint. The Spurs guards are able to fly around, and they're able to say, hey, I'm taking away the corner, I'm taking away the wing, and then he stays in front. And it mixes it up because sometimes you're not sure if it's man, sometimes you're not sure if it's zone. And that's where the Spurs can kind of keep you off balance. And even some of the times where they just make these automatic rotations where it's a pick and pop, the guard flies around to try and take the pop. They rotate to the next one from the corner, and then they make you make different decisions, different plays. So I think when you combine the fact that he's so impactful and they are able to keep him around the paint, it gets tough. The other part is in pick and roll, Wembanyama will just switch, but it's not the traditional switch. So you think you've got him in a matchup and he switches on to you, okay, we're fine. It's a late switch. He now is able to kind of stay in the paint and they rotate around him. So he's still the low person on the court. So now if you try and drive, hey, here's Victor Wembanyama meeting you in the paint. And so the fact that they've been able to kind of consistently build that out is where it gets pretty fun. And I think when you watch the Spurs, the key is look how locked in the guards are. You can poke at them a little bit, but if you're trying to drive on him, you can't expect for him to continuously stay in the matchup. He's going to patrol. They're going to fly around him, and it just kind of keeps pressure on you in a different way. So that's been the most fun part for me, Nekias, is watching him grow, watching teams try and poke at him, but there's just the rotating around what Wemby does. Hey, it doesn't matter. I might be at the elbow. You get up there, guard that. I'm going to be in the paint. Y'all figure it out. That's the fun stuff for me. Now, very quickly, before you go, hopefully I'm able to showcase these two clips just for you. Because did you see what happened when Boston tried to run stack pick and roll against Victor Wembanyama?
Oh, please show those.
If we have the two stack clips, that'd be fantastic. Because basically Victor Wembanyama just got out of there as soon as humanly possible. And he just ran away from all the screens and ran right to the paint. I just figured you would enjoy that. But it's going to be fun to see how teams are able to counter. Minnesota went to wide pin downs for Dante DiVincenzo. Okay, you're going to be back there. That's fantastic. We saw Luka Garza make a bunch of threes, so I'm interested to see if OKC is able to tap the Chet Holmgren button. But yeah, when he's able to stay in that low block area and that paint and rotate, it makes it real tough. The fact that they're able to rotate around it makes it real tough. He's very good. They're very good.
Yeah, it's the smart stuff. And again, we've talked about it a little bit before on this pod, but Mitch Johnson really is just doing a really good job in San Antonio, putting all these moving pieces together and establishing a foundation on both ends of the floor. He deserves his credit for this as well. I guess, really, Steve, because you talked through wonderfully some of the nuances of what San Antonio is doing to keep Wemby low. I do wonder, are there different ways to attack him directly? Because I think, to your point, teams, if he is low, hey, can we clear this corner, et cetera? Let's try to move him out the way. Let's have a big higher up on the floor, see if we can move him that way. Is it worth putting him in action a little bit more than they have? than teams generally have been, and just trying to win that way.
I mean, there was a play against Minnesota where they put him in pick and roll. Nasri popped and Bones Highland just drove because Wemby was out the way. I think the key is I don't know if you want to directly put him in action, because are you prepared to drive and finish, or are you going to settle for a step back? How many of the options are those going to be? And so I think it's, if you have the right talent, you can put him in action, but I think it's more moving him across the court and trying to find ways to attack and poke at the rotations they want to make. So if you can put him in a position where there's a dangerous shooter in the corner and we can kind of make it so that rotation isn't as livable, I think that's more useful to attack their base than purely put Wemby in action. Because how would you justify attacking Wemby straight up?
Hey, we got a star too. Anthony, it was funny listening to Anthony Edwards talk about his shot against Wemby. Like, hey, man, this dude takes away every time he's one-on-one. Naturally, not every team has an Anthony Edwards. But I think that is a fair question and a fair rebuttal to have, Steve. Like, this is one of, if not the best defensive player in basketball. Your game plan probably shouldn't be, hey, let's go at him 50 times a game. Like, conceptually, like, it may be more you can get him involved directly. We can win on the back end in theory. But no, it's a lot easier said from my position than for the coaches in the meetings and for the players ultimately on the court. But just trying to spitball, like, we haven't seen a defender quite like this. And so it's going to take some unique solutions to try to move him around. This is why the Spurs in his rookie year, defending at an incredibly high level when he's on the floor, fall apart when he's off. It kind of continues on that way. So good stuff from you, Steve.